So, working in the ED, there are a lot of times where there's tons of conflict in communication with the numerous healthcare providers. It's a huge problem in emergency rooms, I feel like, and we definitely are trying to work on it. But I had a pretty bad one pretty recently, but actually involving me, a physician, and two other nurses with a patient. Being in the emergency room, you never know when you're going to get busy, how busy it's going to be, what's coming in unless we are called with report, which a lot of the times it does not happen. Being in the pediatric emergency room, especially, we get a lot of transfers because there's only us as a pediatric ER, then we have MCV, which defers a lot of trauma, and then we have Chippenham. But a lot of people prefer to come to us, so we get a lot of transfers from all over. I mean, we've gotten them up from in DC before. We get a ton from St. Francis just because some bon secours to bon secours they obviously send to us. So this particular patient was being transferred from St. Francis with appendicitis. Report was called and given to a nurse. Usually with reports, they are supposed to be given to the physician to take in, but on this particular day, we were extremely busy, like we get sometimes, and so a report was given to a nurse, and then it was stuck on the report board, which is directly where the doctors have to walk by to walk back to their desks where their computers are. A lot of the times they're so busy that they don't even pay attention to it, which is why, as a charge nurse or a nurse, you need to notify that physician, which this nurse did not notify that physician because she started to get busy at the same time. So then, for uh, probably like 10-20 minutes later, the patient gets there. They did not come by ambulance, which notifies us that a report was called if they are brought by ambulance. But the physician at St. Francis felt that the patient was okay to be transferred by personal vehicle with their mom. So the patient gets there, and the nurse had said out loud, I think that's the possible appy that was coming in. I heard her, and I'm pretty sure the charge nurse heard her, but the physician did not hear her. I ended up taking the patient as my assignment, and I had checked all the records, and the patient had already gotten a CT scan, all kind of lab work and everything done, and it was definitely appendicitis. So the patient basically just needed to be sent to the OR. So the doctor got extremely busy. I This is my fault. I did not let the physician know that that was a possible appendicitis for them to contact a surgeon and consult with them in reference to this patient. But another thing is, this patient was very asymptomatic with appendicitis, which usually with appendicitis, they're vomiting, they have a fever, they're in awful, awful pain. This patient looked like a normal, everyday patient that wasn't sick at all. He complained of no pain unless you pushed and then let go, which is what we call the rebound pain. That's the only time that he complained of the pain. Patient didn't even want pain medication. He already had IV access from St. Francis, and I started the bag of fluids on him just to keep him hydrated because he had to be MPO for his surgery. So then the doctor got pretty busy and pretty backed up to the point that this patient had not got seen for 2 hours. So therefore, I ended up in a room with another emergency, and when I came out of that room, the charge nurse had said to me, why didn't you let the physician know that there was the possible appy here? And I stated I thought the other nurse had let him know, and she had said it aloud, and I thought he had heard her, and so I didn't think anything of it really. With that being said, the patient ended up being fine. Luckily, the appendix did not burst, and he went down to the OR. Everything went great. It was just the fact that that communication was awful on my part, on the other nurse's part, and the physician also. Things I would have done differently is walked straight out of that room, found the physician just to tell him that possible appy is here and you need to consult a surgeon, or at least let the charge nurse know so she could have consulted the surgeon and also let the doctor know. But like I said, the patient ended up being fine, luckily, but there is times where the patient is not fine, and we were just lucky in this situation, but this is also something that happens a ton in the emergency room. It's something that we have meetings about and that we work on a lot, but it happens. You just get so busy that, and more emergencies come in, not saying that anybody's more important than anybody else, but you have your acuity levels, and this, it just happens, and gotta go with it and not make the same mistake next time.